Good morning. It is January 30th, Friday, a little bit after 9. This morning, we're going to hear two bills from our colleagues. And then at 11 o'clock, then we have the floor. And then at 11 o'clock, we're back here for some testimony from tax about compliance. Some of what we talked about yesterday with state tax will come up. I think some point we had a conversation about sort of nexus of where someone lives and where someone works and how income taxes fit into that. So they're going to sort of touch on all of those things. And then after lunch is an opportunity for folks to catch up both on all the reports and when we heard testimony about the regional assessment districts and testimony about the new homestead, non-homestead tax classifications. We walked through language for both of those. And next week, we're going to start diving back into them. So if people could really take time this afternoon and make notes about like what you think the answer might be for the questions that were highlighted by Kirby.
Yeah.
Yes. Does that I feel like that sentence was very circular? I'm sorry. I haven't quite finished it. Okay. So that would be like really helpful activities. You don't need to have language drafted unless you want to, but like really come prepared for us to start problem solving next week. And feel free to email talk over the weekend about it or this afternoon with me. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now and invite Representative Burt up.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Thanks for taking time for me this morning.
It is our pleasure. Thanks for coming.
For the record, Craig Burt, representative from Cabot, Danville, and Peacham, here to introduce H711. This bill is about removing the sales tax from precious metals, bullion, or exempting them from the sales tax, if you want to look at it that way. It looks like there was a bill in 2023 similar to this. I haven't seen that one. I just saw that they were related, but and you probably have gotten emails from what's the name of the I got an email.
Postcards, strange.
Yeah, postcards, yeah, and mail in our mailboxes about this. So I don't know, it intrigued me. I have just a very small amount invested in silver bullion that's in my safe. And so I took a look at it and I was kind of surprised that we do. We're one of only 5 states that have a sales tax on gold and silver. And so basically I just, for me, I think it's maybe a small win to head what I think is a good direction for our state to head in terms of, our economic policy and just lining up with what other states are doing. So being one of 5 that tax gold and silver bullion still, I'd rather see us heading in the other direction, I guess, on that. I don't know if there's a minimum quantity of silver that you have. I would assume you can buy as much or little as you want in gold. So it's really an investment that anyone can make in theory that appreciates in value over time. So I don't think this bill is really geared toward some, level of economic status. I'm certainly not, especially when I invested in silver, would not put myself in a high wealth category. But I think it's a good investment for my family. And and I think it should just be taxed on capital gains like every other investment is, instead of being taxed at 6% from sales. And there are loopholes that, people can technically go through by going to New Hampshire to buy it or buy it on the internet. So we're losing out on potential businesses in our state that could, have this be part of their business for selling precious metals. Given that there's a sales tax on here, I imagine I don't know how many businesses in our state. I mean, there's certainly pawn shops This bill does not address anything with jewelry or anything like that. So there would still be sales tax on jewelry. So it'd just be bullion, any, and it outlines, what that, would be. It's something that really has no aesthetic value or any value outside of being, a precious metal. So yeah, I mean, that in a nutshell, that's all I'm looking for. I mean, I know when you look at, I was trying to see if this would apply to, metrics for our economy as a whole in the state, how we're ranking in the, 35th or lower on a lot of, would this boost our, our rating? I guess it's not a large enough, factor for most economic ratings to really put that into it. And in terms of, trying to see how much it would affect our, the amount of taxes coming into the state, it looks fairly de minimis, although you can't, unless, I would have JFL obviously come in to talk about that, but I don't, from what I can tell, would have a pretty de minimis effect on our taxes. So generally speaking, I think I'm a big proponent of investing in things that appreciate and, which is, I guess, the definition of investing in a way, but, and would love to,
Not always.
not always, I guess, yeah. Sound investment, I guess. And the fact that it doesn't affect, it's not, bullion can be bought and sold in any quantity. So in theory, it would, be for any tax bracket. So, and I think it's a better way for our economy to head as a whole, to have our citizens investing in things like that and not being penalized for doing so.
This version of the bill is actually significantly stronger than the one we looked at last biennium, I think it was.
Yeah.
That one only had an exemption if you spent more than $100, which struck me as, I think was trying to get at the jewelry question, but I found kind of awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I appreciate that you've sort of defined bullion and coins and really separated out sort of the investment question from the jewelry question.
Yeah. Kirby Keaton did most of the work on it. I took his wisdom. Yeah. So.
Any questions? Yep.
I'm just a little curious for gold bullion. How do you receive it? You receive it in the mail? I mean, I don't imagine Brinks comes to your home or anything like that. Or
Yeah, I mean,
what can you buy? I mean, is it like Fort Knox with the gold bullion you see?
right. So I mean, my limited experience with it is, we bought an internet-based company and, got a little package with a little silver block in it, that we have kept in our safe. And actually, my wife probably knows more about the ins and outs of it because she's the one who did it. But, I mean, so you can, keep the physical bullion, in your home if you wanted to, but I believe there are ways to purchase it where and I remember talking about this with my wife as to what we should do, but there are companies that will just keep the bullion at their location, but you own it. But you're still owning a physical, it's like a bank, right? I mean, it's keeping your finances, not in your house, different system. So, I would probably try to look for testimony, if you want to take this up, where someone has more expertise on that than I do, and I could look to help with that if you wanted, but yeah.
Just for the record, if someone buys gold in New Hampshire or silver in New Hampshire, they are still responsible for sales tax in Vermont.
Yes.
I know no one does it, but I mean, frankly, I don't, but not that I buy gold, but I bought toilet paper or something. Carol.
Yeah, I was say there is, you have to pay use tax.
Yes.
But I was thinking about what happens when you sell the gold or the silver. And I was thinking about how the cost basis would be known and you mentioned capital gains treatment and I don't know how that, did you look into that?
I haven't done a lot of research on it. I would assume that, the companies that hold the Boolean for you would be required, obviously, to report, all the information regarding transactions. So, it would be easy to take, know what capital gains occurred with that. And I would, there again, we should bring in an expert, but,
Yeah.
how much gold is being just transferred, between two individuals, or, is it held by a company? I would have to have an expert come in on, but yeah.
Thank you.
I was talking to a quite wealthy Vermonter who has purchased a lot of gold, and it's stored in a underground bunker in Texas. Actually drove there so that he could see the gold, but they were only willing to bring 1 bar up above ground for him. It was a very fascinating story that it stuck with me.
And you're sure that's mine?
That was sort of my question, but he seemed to feel confident about the whole thing. Yes, yeah, that was definitely what I was thinking, but he seemed confident. You talked about like the economy moving, you wanting Vermont's economy to move in this direction. Can you tell me more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, well, like I have a bill in about subscriptions it's in commerce, and the bill is about making it just as easy to get out of a subscription as it is to get into a subscription, which, on Amazon, it's just like 1 click and you're getting deodorant every week, whereas before you were just getting 1 bar, right? So, and it's like, well, how do I get out of that, right? And that should be simple,
Yeah.
I think, because of the nature of how we buy things now. So, and they were pretty excited about that bill because I feel like it's a small win, right? For the people of our state. This is, to me, another example of that. To me, I think this can be a small win. If it's a de minimis amount of income to the state, then I personally don't see, and 45 other states think it's perfectly fine not to put a sales tax on this. I feel like not only is it just heading it in the right direction, but it's an easy talking point for all of us to be like, these are some changes that we made to head things in the right direction. I don't think when you talk about, trying to reduce taxes, well, it's like, here's an example. We reduced taxes on this. We actually got rid of the tax, and we're encouraging people to invest instead of do whatever else with their money, instead of buying another Pepsi or another subscription. Yeah. So.
Representative Kimball and I worked on a subscription service bill eight years ago
So a while ago, yeah.
and love it. Like, it was very exciting. I don't remember why it. Anyway, so thanks for sponsoring it.
Yeah, I think Marcotte said that he'd done the one that was there before.
Yeah.
It was based on his personal
Yes.
experiences,
Yes.
but it was like yearly contracts rather than,
Right.
Yeah,
now they're talking about just getting rid of the whole time frame
love it.
part because they're so narrow now. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate it.
Chris. Representative Dobrovich, do you want to join us? Please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Forgive me, it's my second presentation ever. I'm a little, nervous.
We're gentle on Friday morning.
It's not what I hear. Totally kidding. So I have a humor too, and it comes out unexpectedly.
Really laid back and easy going.
I'm gonna say that, but.
I mean, it's a money committee. There has to be some toughness that happens. Like, I mean, everybody wants everything from you.
Every day.
Every day.
The floor's yours.
Thank you. My name is Representative Joshua Dobrovich from Williamstown, Chelsea. Thank you all for allowing me to present this to you today. My written script keeps me on topic and not rambling. Vermont's current tax system with multiple income brackets, sales tax, property taxes, estates taxes, and others is complex and can feel burdensome to many families, businesses, and even estates and trusts. This bill proposes a major simplification, repealing several existing taxes, including the sales and use tax, education property tax, estate and gift taxes, property tax transfer, land gains, and others, and shifting the primary revenue source towards personal income tax. The bill applies this unified income tax structure to individuals, estates, and trusts while maintaining key exemptions and deductions and a new targeted low income relief credit to protect lower income households. It also builds safeguards requiring detailed reports from the Commissioner of Taxes on revenue and implementation and mandating a two-thirds legislative vote, or in some cases, a voter approval for future rate changes. This promotes transparency, predictability, accountability while aiming to fund essential services like education and healthcare. The goal is more straightforward, equitable tax structure. The goal is a more straightforward, equitable tax structure that supports our communities, encouraging people and businesses to stay or move to Vermont and reduces overall administrative burdens. You move forward, I want to emphasize the importance of preserving existing tax reliefs established in prior sessions for our veterans, such as the Vermont Veteran Tax Credit and the partial exemption for military requirement or retirement pay. And also for Social Security beneficiaries, including the exemption for federally taxable Social Security benefits under 32 VSA subsection 5830E. These protections should be incorporated to ensure continued support for those who have served our country and those relying on fixed incomes. Do also want to say that with that, after the fact, the more I think about this, because I've been trying to process, it started with an idea that many humans besides myself have had over many moons. But I presented too many bills this year, so I have to think through them all. And as I sit and think about this, there's one contemplation I didn't make, and that is, the people who own property who don't live here, right? That to me, that's an ongoing question that we all have on either side of the political divide. So that's the contemplation that's not in here is how do you still, if you remove the education property tax for all Vermonters and businesses, because it's all going here, I still think those out-of-staters who don't live here, who don't want anything to do with here except own our property and make money here, there's got to be a way to address that through a tax that stays there. I'm not sure how that works. It's well out of my breadth of knowledge.
What about the municipal tax?
That's why I said in there, I said the education property tax. I mean, they can't operate for them to try and figure out how they ask the state government for their money. I mean, we're back to the education conundrum that we're currently in. So I think that has to stay. There is that municipal property tax exists for those municipalities.
And how much do you think the flat tax rate would have to be to cover all those other taxes?
Okay, so Josh math, let's be clear, Josh math is interesting. When I tried to do the calculations using stuff I read, different types of, I did use AI to help me take the data that I didn't understand and help me understand it. Based on last year's budget, if we removed all of those, all the taxes, kept tobacco, alcohol, cannabis, left all fees in play, 13% should give us a couple million over what our budget was last year. So 13% is where I came to for that reason. So that's I would love to see 10%, but I am not stupid. And I know that there's no way we're going to claw back that much spending. So to keep things kind of level set and to keep where they are, a little bit of extra, tiny bit of extra, you're looking at 13%. And then should we be at a budget shortfall, and I have in there that it would have to be, you can only do it for 2 consecutive years, and it would have to be a shortfall that is addressed during the BAA, is that the governor can propose a temporary increase. The legislature by a 2/3 vote would have to approve that, and that could go into effect for 12 months. You could do that for 2 consecutive years. If you decided you want to increase that 13% to 15%, it would have to be approved by 2/3 in both chambers, the governor, and then go to a constituent vote, a voter vote on a ballot.
So it would take like a few years.
Well, it's not a constitutional amendment, but like you can make that proposal and it can go on the next election cycle. So you would have to prepare it to go into an election cycle and be on a ballot. And yeah, it should be hard. Like I think it should be hard for us as legislators to ask our constituents for more money when we ask for a grip of money from them currently. So it gives them their some control back of how we're spending their money. It's not our money, it's theirs. So how do we say, hey, we want you to be part of this process? That just means we have to be more transparent, say, hey, this is why we need more money. Like, these are the programs, like, and really get out there and become part of our communities. I want to say we try in some areas to do well there, and in some areas we maybe not so much.
I was more just reflecting on how there's a sort of a lag between when we change tax
Oh, yeah.
law and when the revenues actually come in, because we don't like to surprise people mid-year with a new tax, you know?
And that for me is where my breadth of knowledge has ended long before we get to that conversation. Cause I mean, I have my thoughts, I can look at it and understand it, but I don't know like the ins and outs of the tax, like Kirby and really had to hold my hand during all of this. So.
Pretty good. I am aware of other states trying to do this, but I don't know of any other state that has done this. Are you? Okay.
So it has been tried. My understanding, it's been on the wall in this committee at times over the last however many decades. I'm really bringing it because we are at a time where everybody's feeling the pinch. Our population's aging and our working population is aging out. We're taking in less money. How I'm trying to put forth another conversation, right? Even if it doesn't happen, just like every bill that I've introduced this year, it's about a conversation. Like, I'd love for you to take it off the wall. If no other reason to just like, does it make sense? Is there something that comes of it that can make better sense? Like, how do we really like explore the uncomfortable or the unknown to see how we can help our constituents save money, not feel so burdened?
I could keep on going, but if anyone has any other questions.
I appreciate the fact that it's bold thinking out of the box, and just trying to figure out how do you, and I think that's part of your point, is that how do we approach raising revenues to support government in a simpler way for people to understand? And I think that's what you're driving at.
Yeah, and I mean, so let's just think of lower income. I got flack when I started just talking about it before I got into nitty gritty. Well, you're trying to make it more expensive for lower income. Well, no, I have provisions in there, but also they're going to pay less sales tax. They're going to pay no sales tax. They're going to pay no fuel tax. So theoretically is the best way I could say it, is they likely will actually have less expense out of their pockets in the long run, because I contemplate for lower income, and then they're not paying taxes. And then people who don't own properties, they're not paying they're not paying sales and use tax. They're not paying fuel tax, all these other things. So they are saving money there on top of the deductions that they're getting. So they actually could come out more ahead. And I'm trying, and by contemplating trust in the states, I'm trying to go for those who are trying to shovel their money in ways so they don't have to pay anything, right? So it's trying to contemplate, yes, that idea, but there's a lot of thought into how this actually could work. It's just, there's a lot of it that's out of my world.
If Representative Brannigan could hold her ears for a moment, I'm curious why you would keep fees, because I feel like fees is one of the first things I would remove.
So that was, to be honest, it was a very hard decision for me. My past life in many different ways had to do with service. Even some of my current work has to do with fee for service. I do think there is a benefit by still participating in certain things. Like, there's a service you're doing, there should be a fee to it. And by like DMV fees, that's going to pay for those people who are working in the DMV doing those things, buying the license plates, having the license plates made, I should say, things like that. So I think there is a benefit for keeping the fees. I did contemplate taking them out. If I take out the fees and the 3 sin tax, you got to increase the flat fee to 14%. My head is, now 14% is almost double what our highest tax rate currently, personal tax rate currently is. How do you get people to understand, like even this bill, how do you get the population to understand what we're doing, right? My income tax is going up. Oh my God, it's going to hurt on my paycheck. But you're not going to be paying, like, you're not going to have that crazy education property tax pop up every year that you're uncertain about. You just know what you paid, and that's all the money spent. So fees, it's a hard one for me to contemplate. I do believe in fee for service. I think it makes sense. I think it helps, adjust what it costs tax wise. fees can undulate a little bit as DMV or zoning needs more for whatever, like that can move a little bit more. So that's kind of why I left them in there.
And agreed, the education property tax needs to be stable year over year, right? It's very hard to.
I mean, there's a conversation about pulling the education property tax out and putting that into the income tax.
Yes, there is.
I mean, I heard it and I'm like, okay, I want to hear more. I mean, I'm going to meet with the people who are talking about that because it's not the same and the devil's in the details.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a really good task force report about it. I'm happy to send
so,
it.
yeah, please. I mean, so I'm a landlord too, right? And I try and provide affordable housing. When my property taxes go up, in 5 years, I've not increased my rents because of any of the costs that have been extra to me. At some point, I might not be able to do that. So when I hear about that and they're like, oh, but we'll keep it on landlords and other property owners, like, yes, but please be careful because if it goes up for me, then my cost of providing as good of housing as I can, as an affordable price as I can, changes. So I like the idea of removing that education property tax, but I want to be careful, right? So that's where this kind of takes away even that. It like, it, you know, if you did something like this with that, it makes sense to me.
Did you consider adding some new sins to tax?
I know I used that word, damn it. So I would need to know what they are, you know, because to be honest, cannabis didn't even cross my radar till I was reading all the taxes. And I was like, oh, that one.
You're not from Brattleboro.
Well,
Sorry.
what's that?
It was just a little.
They're not in Brattleboro?
I was saying you're not from Brattleboro.
No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, I'm from Barry and there's 7, so, you know, but again, like, whatever your thoughts are on that subject, like, it's a thing that I think just like tobacco, it's the same as tobacco. It's the same as alcohol to me. You know, that's why alcohol is part of the food. It's part of the food and beverage. So I have them pull that out to make it its own because I think it's all the same. I mean, we shouldn't be, I think we should be trying to teach people to moderation.
I mean, there's conversations about taxing sugar as a sin or like legalizing sex work and taxing
Taxing
that. Yeah.
I don't know that that's a whole nother philosophical conversation about
Okay.
that. And I don't know, I want to get into there. Sugar, I mean, I'll speak from personal experience. When I get into the holidays, I can act, so my snoring, my sleeping, some other things get changed by the amount of sugar I intake. When I scroll it back, my health, I can feel my health change. I don't snore. I don't, like, all these things happen. So would I be opposed to it? I would be opposed to it because, again, it's personal choice. And those things, to me, it's just as addictive as alcohol, but it's a whole nother philosophical conversation.
Representative Maslin, you get the last question. We're going to the floor.
Very helpful. Also, you have a lot of ideas.
I
Do you
do.
have any one-pagers on
I do.
aspects of your presentation,
Of this?
or any of it? I mean, I tend to look at things in chunks and sort of figure that one out and then go on to the next. So if you have any one-pagers, even if they bleed one to the next, it would be helpful to see them and read them.
Okay. Yeah, I hate all of my bills except for one because I believe every bill should be one page and be able to be read about while walking, just like Benjamin Franklin. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen anymore.
This love your ideas, not your bills.
Yes, ideas. Good luck. You ready? Full inbox, baby. Thank you very much. And you guys are awesome. Like, I felt very comfortable.
We can go out live.
Being slightly nervous.
I would
Yeah.
say if you did,